Hey, morning, Patriot. How are you?
Doing all right, man. Doing
Yeah,
all right.
good.
Hi, everybody. Let some people file in here.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Jane up here.
Get up here, Jane. Everyone, share the space. Let's get some people in here. It's a big week. We had a big week. I love it. Got MOCA. We got Eric. We got Zay MOCA, my buddy. They're all my buddies. I love it. Hey, guys.
Jane, can you hear us? Can you get any way you can get up on stage? So,
Tech's having problems.
yeah,
Yeah,
let
typical.
me see here. I'm gonna invite her to co-host. So, yeah, just so you know, I gotta go in about an hour, man. And then I'm pretty sure if I leave, that it will go to you, and you'll be able
Yeah,
to keep the space going, and we shouldn't be interrupted.
yeah.
Um,
That's how it should work.
yeah. And I think Jane is up here. Hi, Jane.
Hello, hello. But
Mm.
I am a speaker. I'm not a co-host. Yeah. I
It says,
accepted your invite, but it's just that still showing me as a speaker. Oh, now co-host now.
I
Yeah,
see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
All
Good
right. Good stuff.
morning.
Morning. Morning, everybody. So,
buenos dias.
should we jump into it? Do you want to do? Should we do a quick update on the raise the bond?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Let's do the update.
Yeah, it's going well. I think we're actually sorry, I didn't look at it this morning, but we were over bonded.
Yeah,
Um,
I got it right here if you want to know. It's
oh
we're
yeah.
3.6 million over bonded. That's awesome.
Oh wow.
Love it.
Yeah,
Yes.
Great job.
it was like
Yep.
300,000 yesterday, and it was
No.
it's all over the place, right? Because of the room price.
Sure.
So as the
Yeah.
room price goes up, or we're more over bonded. As the room price goes down, we go under bonded. Um, so wow, 3 million. That's actually huge. That's the most it's been in a while. Um,
Yes.
wow, and that's just still with these 107 nodes. Like we're still the churn is stuck right now. Um, the churn is way overdue. And if the churn goes, if you're looking at the numbers there, maybe you can tell us, Patriot. But I think once this next churn goes through, we'll add another 2.5 million rune.
Yeah,
And
something like that. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm trying to pull it up right now. Yeah. And yeah, but the churn is delayed, as you said. There's a little issue with base, something to do with the nonce, which is for those who don't know, I'm not an expert, by the way, I'm not a developer, but number used once. And if a developer wants to come up and speak to more technical issues, but yeah, we're just having this, a typical hiccup with the new chain, and the devs are working on it right now. So, forgive the temporary moments like this, but that's just what happens when we add new chains. It seems like we always have these edge cases when we add a new change. So just, business as usual.
and it's the issues we had in the past with base were around gas fees, like the vaults not being able to retire because there weren't enough gas fees to transfer the tokens, and that's not the issue this time. It's something new, something different now. So like kind of like whack-a-mole. You fix one problem, and another one creeps up. So, but nothing's no funds at risk, nothing like that. It's just annoying. Um,
Yeah.
so so it'd be nice to get that fixed and get the churns going again. Um, and then so not only will we increase the rune bonded, but we'll get to 111 nodes, which is getting us close to the previous all-time high. So, and same with the number of rune amount of rune bonded. Like after this next churn, we should be just shy of the all-time high, which I think is fantastic. Like, you
Yes,
know,
absolutely. Good job, everybody. Shout out to
yeah,
everyone who's bonding their rune. I think I saw someone yesterday, they bought 50K worth of rune and bonded it. That's what
nice.
we need. So that's all of you guys doing a great job. Excellent job. Keep it up. And new node operators come online. By the way, Kenton, do you know Oni Validator? I know we had
Oh, and
oh god,
I,
why am I blanking? Yeah, yeah, ONI Validator. I just call it Oni. I'm not sure if that's right, but do you know if they got bond providers too?
I don't know. And just to maybe let people know, but they kind of walked away from running nodes on THORChain. I don't know if they ever had one to begin with. I think they just couldn't find enough bond providers to get one node going. And but they want to, they're interested in running a node. They just need to find bond providers to do it.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I'll reach out to them and see something I can do this next week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm just thinking that what a coincidence that, while we are now achieve the overbonded, like our raise the bond campaign work, and now the achievement is happened during this conjunction of the THORChain 4-year anniversary from the 4 years anniversary from the first Genesis day. Yeah, what a
Yeah,
coincidence, right?
it's great. Absolutely. And that birthday, we were doing the Raise the Caps campaign. Um, so
Yeah.
it absolutely, yeah, it's a great coincidence.
Yeah, well, I think we've turned a corner here. You know what I mean? I think we figured out what works and what doesn't work. We've really matured and grown as a community, and I think just us meeting each other in real life. I mean, the community was pretty decent back in 2020, 2021, but now everyone kind of understands that we've met each other. Everyone understands personality, and we understand now the resiliency of this community, and not just this community. I mean, we're all one big community, right? You've got Ruggira, we've got Maya Protocol, now we have MOCA. So things are. I'm feeling really, really good, man. Things are looking really up, and everyone seems to understand the mission now. It's like we're lockstep, and we're just going for it, which is great.
Yeah, I think we have a new desk that just integrated THORChain, which is LeoDex, and he's in this stage, this space. Probably that as a new desk, LeoDex, do you want to become a speaker here?
Well,
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to.
yeah, they're
Go ahead,
welcome to come up. Yeah, for sure. But we won't pressure you if you don't want to. If you just want to be a fly on the wall, you're welcome to as well. Um, so I actually didn't know that. That's great. Do you guys know how many integrations we're at so far? Is it like 20,
Oh
25?
no, you know, that's the beautiful thing. I mean, at some point you might not even know,
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing, the interesting thing, Kenton, I thought about years ago is that there's going to be a turning point in THORChain when people integrate and we don't even know that they integrated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and there is, with everything being open source, this is something that will know. And now the mind share, or the, how do you say, the knowledge to integrate THORChain is um, it's like proliferating everywhere. And now this is becoming more and more common. It's like becoming a node operator. Like we're like with RuneTard educating other people. This knowledge is becoming more and more widespread, which just makes this ecosystem even harder. So we have so many good things going on, but I do want to make sure, Kenton, because I know you are time constrained today. Do we want to go into the marketing? Because I want to make sure you get everything
Yeah.
out you want to say, because
I
I'm really
well,
excited to hear.
I was just gonna say, I think what your comments there are a good segue into marketing. So, what you said about there'll become a day where we don't even know who integrated THORChain. I totally get. I agree with you. I get where you're coming from saying that, because THORChain will get so huge. There'll be so many partners, and even if that person, or that, sorry, that that website or wallet or whatever, even though they're announcing it, we won't be able to keep track. There'll be so much going on in the whole ecosystem, right? And but however, if I can get my grand marketing scheme going, then maybe people will know about it, and we can make that a priority. So what I've been thinking about for a long time now, like a couple of years, is THORChain's marketing, and the community's been crying about it, begging for it for that same amount of time, and I agree with everybody. Like we need it. Like you can't. It's great if you have a business that doesn't need it, but those are like unicorn businesses, right? It's just not. Um, it's kind of like being if a guy is like super muscular and in shape without working out or exercising, like good for him, he's got great genetics. But most of us mortals have to go to the gym, right? And same with most companies. You got to market. You got to get your product out there, especially if you want to get huge. Like Nike and Google and Apple, like they spend fortunes on marketing. And not just to get big, but also to stay big, right? To maintain their position. THORChain is no different. We got to spend money on marketing. But the original, idea with THORChain is business to business product. Like, our real customers are wallets and websites like TrustWallet and Ledger and LeoDex, right? And so on. And so that part of the business has been working great. In my opinion, the team, the devs and whatnot, have been doing a fantastic job of getting THORChain into all these different front ends, especially the big ones, because they're like big companies. They're slow. They have an internal inertia. It takes time, right? Like TrustWallet took 18 months. I think Ledger took over 2 years even. But people stayed with it and kept it going and saw it through. That part of marketing for THORChain, I think, is doing great. I think it's awesome. And then the theory is that it's up to TrustWallet and Ledger and LeoDex, all these other front ends, to go market to their users and tell them, hey, come trade inside the wallet. And because that wallet, they earn fees too, right? And have the incentive to go do it. But in my opinion, they're not doing it, or they're not doing it well enough, or they're doing a bad job at it, or whatever criticism you want to use. From THORChain's point of view, I don't think we're getting nearly enough users in volume from these platforms that we should be, or that we could be. And so my best example is TrustWallet. They say they have 200 million downloads, but we only have like 10 or 20,000, maybe 30,000 users a month come from TrustWallet. Ledger is like in the thousands. So it's very little, and we just have not tapped into that audience. And so what I want to do is take matters into our own hands, where THORChain, we spend money and time to communicate to the TrustWallet users, to the Ledger users, to everybody else, all the other users, to get them to trade inside the wallets. And so basically I want to market TrustWallet for TrustWallet, which sounds crazy. Why should THORChain spend money on promoting TrustWallet? Why shouldn't TrustWallet do it? You're right, I agree, they should. But at the same time, it doesn't do us any good just sitting here and waiting. And with our hand, sitting on our hands and hoping, twiddling our thumbs, like, come on, do something, come on. Like, we have to have some agency where we take charge, and because it does benefit us too, right? We get the swap fees as well. So what I would like to do is work with, see if I can work with TrustWallet, and even if they don't want to work with us, or depending on how involved they want to be, we still push something through. And because I feel like TrustWallet is the lowest hanging fruit. It should be the easiest to get volume and users there. And if we can, and whatever formula we're using, we can copy and paste that strategy to Ledger and LeoDex wallet, OKX wallet, BitGet, whatever, and apply it to the other front ends. Because what'll happen is, if we can get some marketing to work, say on TrustWallet, and I can demonstrate that we're spending X and earning Y, and if we can get a positive delta, I can say, hey, listen, guys, this is a net positive for THORChain. We've made more money than we spent on marketing. Let's ramp it up, or at least keep it going. And if it's really working, maybe I can go to Scorch actually wrote up ADR in GitLab that we can go to the nodes and ask for some percentage of the revenue, just like the dev fund. There's a 5% of the revenue goes to the dev fund. We can go to the nodes and ask for some percentage of the revenue to go towards a marketing fund. And so in theory, the more money we can spend on marketing, the more volume we get, the more revenue we get, and we get this virtuous cycle. And where it becomes self-funding. And And so if it, let's say it really works with TrustWallet, and we can get like over 1 million users, and we get, you know, hundreds of millions of volume, and it's going awesome. Then we have all this volume only coming from one front end, and it's a disproportionate amount compared to the rest. Well, we can take, copy and paste that formula, go to Ledger, do the same thing. And that's not just to make more money and get more fees, but to uh, differentiate our sources of volume and to diversify our sources. So from THORChain's point of view, ideally we would have equal amounts of volume users from all of our integrations, because then we're not solely reliant on any one integration delivering to us, right? Now, this is part of the reason for you know, THORChain purposely not having its own front end like Uniswap does, because the devs didn't want to create a single point of failure, right? If THORChain started with THORChain.com, come here and trade, and everybody started using that, and then for whatever reason, that website got shut down, then we lose all that volume. You know, we're screwed. By having all these different sources of volume, all these different websites, these different apps bringing volume to us, that spreads out our risk, so that if any one of those gets shut down or closed for whatever reason, we're okay. You know, we have these other tentacles to keep us up. So if we can find marketing that works for TrustWallet, and it really works, it actually becomes imperative to diversify and try and get the other front ends up to speed as well. So so we have two reasons to go, you know, spend money and try and get the competing front ends, their volumes up as well. So and then if it's really working, we can do this with multiple front ends. We can go to new integrations and new partners, and we can say, listen, we've got this marketing engine. Look what we've done for all these different wallets to get them off, you know, get them going. Look at how much money they're making in affiliate fees. This can be you. You integrate THORChain, we will help you get users, help you get volume. And I mean THORChain, right? Just integrate and, you know, no competition, right? And um, and so that really gets the virtuous cycle going. So then, you know, someone new like LeoDex, you know, we can say, you know, we want to help you get more users, get more volume, because it benefits both of us. And, you know, here's our formula. Here's what we've been doing. And then, you know, if we can prove the formula works and it is being successful, hopefully these front ends, they pony up some money too, right? They, you know, they're making money as well. Why wouldn't they want to help amplify that message? So we start getting to this win-win-win scenario for everyone involved, right? And so kind of bring it all back to what you said, Patriot, about front ends being integrated and nobody knows about it. I agree with you, that could happen. But if we have a real powerful marketing engine going, we actually don't want that. We want to try and get every front end possible we can, get them on stage, get people to know about them. And you know, maybe we're running maybe we're working 5 different wallets at one time, trying to get them all going, right? That'd be awesome, right? That'd be great. But the ultimate end game with the marketing is that basically everyone in the world should know they can trade crypto inside their wallet, and whichever wallet you want to use. And there'll be some wallets, some apps that have better success than others, and that'll be a reflection of their UI and what they offer. And that might be good feedback for them to, like, hey, you know what, they just, for some reason, the users aren't liking their interface and the way they're using it. That's good feedback for them to maybe they need to tweak things and change things. So so yeah, maybe I'll stop there. See, that's a lot. That's a big, you know, lot to say. Maybe see if you guys have any thoughts or questions.
Well, everything you said was excellent, and like you said, the virtuous cycle, I think, is the key phrase that you use there. Because LeoDex, to point them out because they're new, and of course MOCA's in here too. You know, if you guys ever want, if you ever like broadcast your integration. You can tag me. I'll always share your content. But the important thing is, yeah, we have to figure out a way to get more swaps, because that literally helps everybody. As Kenton was saying, if there are more swaps on these interfaces, of course the interface themselves is making more money, but then you could foresee a future where the marketing is bringing more money than the cost of the marketing, of course, which means our developers are making more money, which maybe they can hire even more developers. The nodes are making more money, the bond providers are making more money, LPs are making more money. So I think this is something that we should start sooner rather than later. And Kenton, one question I had for you is, I don't, you probably can't say specifics, and I totally get that, but do you have like a time frame? Like, are you getting really close, ready to go, or do you still need some time to bake these ideas out? What's going on that realm?
I'm hopeful that like a month from now, we will have something live. Um, maybe 6 weeks. I gotta be honest with you, I'm actually taking uh some time off at the end of April, so that'll probably set things back a bit. But um, everyone I've been talking to, the ideas, everyone's on board, everyone's receptive. Um, so yeah, let's call it 6 weeks. Maybe we can have something live, like an actual, like, hey, done, guys. Here's what we've started. Um, if there's any hiccup to that, it could be right now, from what I'm gathering from everyone, it would just be more us kind of like creating and designing the actual campaign. Like the strategy, how we're going to do it. But as far as buy-in from everybody, like everyone's positive. Um, so I don't like, part of me is like, I don't like saying what's been agreed to or not until, like, I don't want to jinx it, until it's like actually done. Like don't count your chickens before they hatch type thing. Um, so uh, yeah, all I can say is everyone I'm talking to, things are moving forward. Um, so I'm hoping, say 6 weeks from now, we can have a launch an actual campaign, and also too, I don't really want to do it while the market is down like this. Like, it'd be perfect if we can line it up with, kind of a recovery in the sector. Um, so I'm really hoping in the next month or two that's going to happen. And that doesn't have to be huge. Like I'm not saying make all-time highs again, but at least just stop going down, right? And it looks like we're kind of moving up again. Um, and I want to keep whatever campaign we come up with, to keep it going for like a few, 5 or 6 months type thing. Um, and that's really probably what my budget from the treasury is going to be anyway. Um, so we had, so like it can't be 1 or 2 weeks. Like that's just not enough time. And and where I'm going with this is, like, there's a saying in marketing that, tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them again, because people have to hear the same thing over and over again before it sinks in. And I've had this from bond providers. They're like, yeah, Kenton, I kept seeing your tweets, and it kept reminding me, and I like it, really kicked me in the butt to move forward and get my rune bonded. We're all like this, right? We all have. I'm the same way, right? We're all human. We all kind of need to be reminded and told about things over and over again before it sinks in. So, doing this for 1 or 2 weeks is just not enough. We need to get the message out there consistently for months, and to really get people to hear it and understand it.
Yeah, I agree. And we have two speakers up here. And since you're here, Kenton, I want to Shapeshift. I'm going to go to you. Just, I know you're up first, but CryptoXZ is he's part of an interface. And because Kenton is so limited on time, I just want to skip to him real quick, and then we're going to go to you. So go ahead, CryptoXZ, if you have anything to say.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Very well.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Awesome. Yeah, cool to be here. Things are looking good again now with the node bonding and all of that. I just wanted to jump in a bit into the conversation about marketing, because I think we had Canton and I had a couple of exchange of tweets, and I think this is something where there's definitely some potential where the chain itself can improve. I think there needs to be a couple of caveats here. So first of all, I think probably there needs, I mean, there's not infinite money, right? So we need to find how do we use that money in a smart way. So there probably need to be some split between uh, pushing for new integrations, right? So some sort of like allocation for new integrations. But at the same time, I think we have to be careful how do we distribute funds for marketing, um, because at the end the chain needs to be, or in my view, the chain needs to be agnostic, right? Like we want to bring people who drive volume, and in my view, the best way to distribute this would be kind of in a volume weighted fashion, right? Because you don't want to be this to become where the chain chooses winners and losers. And that's has been always one of my concerns for marketing. Who gets the funds? How do we distribute? What are the criteria? Because at the end of the day, I mean, the chain wants more money. Everyone wants to make more money, but we also need to think for the ecosystem, like when things got hard. I mean, I think this is a bit tough to say, but we also need to think about who has been here for a long time, right? And talking for about for us particularly, and when shit hits the fan and everything, um, we also need to make sure that protocols that have been building with and apps that have been building in THORChain for a long time also get not overlooked, because now we're like looking at the giants and so on. So I'm happy that this marketing, um, let's say, initiative gets pushed forward. I'll just like to see a bit more nuance to, that we support everyone. I mean, there's not infinite money, so it needs to be just adjusted on some way. But yeah, in my view, it should not be just, we let's give money to, for example, Trust Wallet or Ledger and the big guys. I mean, that's definitely one thing to look into. But why not do it volume based? Why not also, support the OGs here when things got hard and so on? So yeah, just wanted to share my views on that, and yeah, definitely will support the campaign in any way we can.
Yeah, I hear you and I understand, and I can answer you. You said it yourself, there isn't infinite money. If there's infinite money, we can do volume based, we can spread it out evenly, we can do anything like that, absolutely. But there isn't. There's finite money. So we have to pick it. I have to pick and choose. And so from THORChain's point of view, what is going to have the highest ROI? Where is these marketing dollars going to get the best bang for our budget? And it's with the big ones to start. It's just that simple. It's not an insult or a slam against any other partner. And what's more important is for the, if a integration or front end is feeling left out and not getting any love, they got to see the bigger picture. That if we get it, if we go for the low hanging fruit, get the big wallets to work first, then we can get more money to spend on marketing, and then we can, like I said, then we take that to all our other integrations. And because the one, I get it, there's, like ThorWallet and ThorSwap and ThorWallet, AsgardX, now we got Sig. Like we have a lot of platforms that are friendly with THORChain that should see some love. But the hang up with them is that the user has to now download a new wallet or go to a new website. Like there's more friction to get them to use it, which is fine. That's the point of marketing, to overcome friction. But with Trust Wallet or Ledger, people already have those downloaded. They already have crypto on them. And there's millions of people that have that. So the friction, the ask of getting somebody who already has those things downloaded and asking them to use them is much less. It's much easier to convert. So it means it's much easier to increase volume, much easier to get more money to then take it to the other integrations and help them. And that's where I highlighted the, like, if Trust Wallet becomes huge and we have all this volume, it does really force us and encourage us to prop up the other integrations and to diversify the volume and get it from those other other um, integrations. So so I agree. I think especially the front ends that are supportive of THORChain, should get disproportionate amount of love. Um, but at the end of the day, like you said, we have finite money, right? I gotta go where we feel we have the best chance. So it's kind of like integrating chains on THORChain. Started with Bitcoin, then Ethereum, stable coins. You know, we're starting with the big market cap coins and slowly working our way down. You know, we didn't start with you know, tokens in the bottom 200 market cap, and then did Bitcoin last. Like we start with the big ones, and there's only so much time and resources to add new chains. So we got to focus on ones we think are going to have the best ROI for THORChain. But ultimately, we would love to have dozens or 100 different chains on THORChain, but it's just going to take time. And so the same thing with marketing to get the different front ends. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
okay. So yeah, I agree with what Kenton's saying, and then like Crypto XZ, like yeah, everyone, I think on here, I love ThorWallet because during THORChain's hardest times, you guys did not, you didn't cancel swaps or nothing like that, and so there was a ton of love. And I think the great bridge between Kenton's argument and then your desire is that if we get a proof of concept where marketing has an amazing ROI, then we can have a percentage of revenues be directed towards marketing, at which that point technically there is an unlimited amount of money relative to the amount of swap volume we're generating. And then you can kind of like democratize it a little bit, or if that's not the right word, spread it more to other interfaces. But because like I think it's a pretty solid argument because we have to prove this concept out. I think most people in here think marketing is a great idea, but they're gonna want to see like hard numbers and facts. And then after that, I think then maybe we can campaign like, okay, let's have a percentage of revenues go to a sustained marketing campaign because ultimately this is making the ROI is huge and everyone makes more money. So I think that's the way I want to approach it. What are your thoughts, Crypto XZ?
I mean, I think in general, I kind of understand, but I honestly disagree because at the end of the day, all good intentions are good, but as I said, there's not infinite money, and then the easy way out is just say, oh, let's give it to the big guy, right? Like let's give it to TrustWallet, let's give it to Ledger. But at the end, yeah, in terms of ROI, we need to think about also that they don't care. I mean, they care, but they don't care as deep as other projects. And I'm sorry to say this, but this is truth. I mean, they are completely commercial, and they're in the right to do that. But when if THORChain was dying, they will have no issue to shut it down. And if there's some reputational parts. So like the only thing I'm saying is, and that's why like I think in the past marketing has been difficult because at the end is this is just basically giving money away. And in my view, it has at the end the market chooses, right. This is not gonna save your if you don't have users and then you get marketing. No, but I feel that it needs to be done in a way where the user decides. So how does the user decide? Well, let's give it on volume, whatever amount it is. If it's $1 on volume, because saying, oh, okay, let's do it, and this is how I would approach it. And then obviously I'm biased because of being in ThorWallet, but also having the chain outlook as a guiding principle is, when the chain needs thing, who's gonna be the most supporter? Who's gonna be the first integrating new things? And it's gonna be the first to integrate new chains, and that's where I think there is a bit of a disconnect here. So yeah, if we want to give money to Binance, okay, that's gonna be the best ROI. But we also want to make strong projects come out of THORChain that can sustain in the long run. And the same for Jira, right? Like why don't we give the money to someone bigger? I mean, that's not the point. The point is how do we how do we make our projects compete now with Trust Wallet? Because we will drive volume, and at the end, um, I mean, marketing dollars only go so far, and we're gonna do our own in ThorWallet. We already started last year with our own marketing campaign. But if it would be the nodes and we vote, I would vote in the direction where um, the chain needs to one incentivize new integrations for sure. So some grants for you integrate there is like a certain amount so that you can kick off. And then after that, free market, whoever has good volume, whoever is bringing users, then they earn, and then there's a free competition for this. So this is my take. I mean, I don't know how it's gonna go.
Yeah.
Well, I can add to that. So you said like, you know, so the ThorWallet compared to TrustWallet. ThorWallet is more loyal to THORChain. You're not going to turn off THORChain, whereas TrustWallet, maybe they will. Be today because they don't make any money, right? If marketing works with TrustWallet and all of a sudden the swaps that they're getting in wallet going through THORChain is their highest source of revenue, they're going to think very hardly and twice about ever shutting down THORChain,
But they
right?
were
So
making a lot of money. They were making a lot of money last year, and they still shut it down. So like that argument doesn't fly, right? Like they were making a killing with THORChain integration. Can they make more? Sure, but it's not like, oh, they lost 100K. No, they make like a few millions last year just on THORChain alone. So I don't understand how this argument is valid.
well, a few $1 million is not a lot of money. Like, let's get them into tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. Then that's real money.
Yeah, but we have Ledger, right? And then the guy on Ledger was talking, and he said suddenly THORChain volume was like 20-30% of their total revenues from one day to the other. So increasing your revenue by 30% is not like 2 cents. So it's not like they do have other. It's not just money driven; they have other incentives. But we should not be oblivious to say, oh well, whenever they make a billion, then they will no. I mean, yeah, sure, we want to push them. Good for Trust Wallet. I mean, they're doing a good job. Only thing I'm saying is that this is obviously my perspective, but
Yeah.
I think that
I'm sorry.
like other places, like even for example, new guys coming in, and it's not just ThorWallet perspective. I'm just thinking like if you're a new guy, not like trying to integrate. How if we're solely saying okay, let's give it to the big guy, and at some point you'll get at the bottom of the line. It's gonna be very very hard for those new guys as well to say how can we get some of those marketing dollars, right? What if you're contributing 1%? Well, maybe you should get 1% of those funds. So that's just like how I envision it.
Yeah, I think there's a disconnect here. Like I think so. Right now, let's say I get 50 grand. Let's say I get 250 grand from the treasury. I spend 50 grand a month for 5 months, and I get something. It has to be go towards the best chance of success. And I'm sorry, it's obviously easier and better to get users on TrustWallet than ThorWallet. It's not a slight against ThorWallet, but to ask somebody to download a brand new app and move crypto to it is a lot of work, and that means more money you have to spend on converting. And then somebody who already has TrustWallet downloaded and already has crypto on it, um, and there's like arguably 100 million people like that. Um, there's not going to be there isn't 100 million person audience for ThorWallet, like not today. Maybe someday, eventually, sure, but that doesn't exist today.
Well, that's what you
So
think.
so so
We
ThorWallet,
don't
so
agree with that.
TrustWallet has okay,
Wait. So
well, let me finish. So TrustWallet has, I think, the lowest hanging fruit should be the easiest way for us to increase volume on THORChain, which means maybe we can get the nodes to approve a fund, and we can get say 500 grand a month to spend on marketing. Then we have more money. Like you said, this money isn't the current money I have is finite that I've been given approval for. If we can get a fund, a dev fund going from the nodes, sorry, marketing fund from the nodes, then it does kind of become almost infinite in a sense that we've got this constant stream of money coming in. Then we can spread it around and go to the other integrations. So just because you aren't first doesn't mean you'll never get it. We got to go from THORChain's point of view. We have to go for the best chance of success, which increases your chance of success down the road because we'll have more money to apply to you. And if ThorWallet is much smaller than TrustWallet, we have more reason to give you more money to get you going, to get your volume up, to diversify THORChain's volume. So just because you're not first doesn't mean you're not valued or you can't succeed or anything like that. It's just we have to go and we have to pick an order, right? We have to start somewhere.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah,
there's. Go
sorry.
ahead, Jane. Go ahead, Jane.
Yeah, I just want to point out that, I think between the different opinions here, I more lean towards what Kenton has mentioned. I think what XZ mentioned is really more on from the UI perspective, whereas for Kenton and us is really from the protocol perspective. And what Kenton really mentioned is true. If we can get the marketing plan, whatever that he planned out, we can get it work, right? Even just increase a small percentage of the volume from Trust Wallet, that means something to us as well, because the Trust Wallet user is already huge, right? Huge number as of today compared to many of others UI. If we can really increase the volume from there, increase our revenue from there, and then therefore the same success model, marketing model, we can duplicate to the rest of the UI. If we are not saying that, just would like to let all the other user interface team to understand that we are not saying that, oh, we abandon you or forget about you. We are more on like want to get the target on those that with the highest user to get increase the revenue. Therefore, we can actually allocate the marketing fund to the rest of you. So I think that is really what Kenton has been trying to explain here, which I totally agree with his approach. Yeah.
Well, I think there's an argument that's been missed here, and we're going to go to the other speakers in a second. But if you have a Trust Wallet user, they are not necessarily a DeFi user, right? They might be just custody their assets and they don't understand DeFi. They've never used DeFi. It's not even in their mind, right? And so they have to send their assets to a centralized exchange, right? The moment you get a user on Trust Wallet to swap assets within their own wallet, you have just created a new DeFi user for the first time. And then this is a new DeFi user that then can be competed for their marketing dollars by other interfaces like LeoDex, ThorWallet, SwapSwap, whatever, right? So I think a lot of this too is just going to the biggest interface in terms of downloads, not necessarily swap volume, not necessarily, things that they add, and making new DeFi users of which then can be proliferated around. Once people get a taste of it, they're going to look at that affiliate fee. Ooh, 70 basis points. I don't know if I like that. Maybe there's a cheaper option. And then they notice when they have Thor. It happens all the time, guys, where someone makes a swap on Trust Wallet and they find their way to the THORChain Telegram, and then they ask about their swap or whatever this, and then I give them the ecosystem link, and then it has other wallets that then they can explore and juxtapose in terms of price fee. So I think the important thing is, though, we're going to keep doing these spaces. So Crypto XZ, one thing I want to say, we're going to go to ShapeShift and Eric real quick, but one thing I say is you will be auditing us the whole entire time. So I think we should let's get this started. Let's just try it and get it going. And then, once we have some success, then we can really start breaking down the peculiars, because I do empathize with your argument about, wanting to get some love, but just because we're just really limited in funds, and we have people, unfortunately, who may not necessarily agree that this is a good strategy. Let's get the strategy proven, and then we're doing these spaces every week. Feel free to audit us, cross-examine. This is an open forum here, so we can always do that. So let's go ahead and shape shift, and then we're going to go to Eric.
I'm still collecting my thoughts. I didn't have my hand up. I'll defer to Eric, and then I'm going to come out guns
Okay, go
blazing.
ahead, Eric.
Hey, well, first of all, Ken, that's a great way to move forward. I think that, yes, going for the first one that might yield the best results is a good way to go. I agree with CryptoXZ about how, we have to support those who have been around, but yes, let's prove the concept first, and then just the waterfall effect will help all of the front ends. And I know that these kind of spaces and the decentralized nature of THORChain allows for everyone to have an opinion, and then there's a lot of noise, and people feel like they have an opinion for everything, etc. So I'm gonna thin on that side and give my own opinion. risking some noise. But you know, when you look at things as a business developer and you look at THORChain, you say, okay, so what issue am I solving for users? And then you start looking for that issue in other platforms. So I was thinking that maybe, and this is something that could be done with a very low budget, in my opinion, is that, for example, you have a lot of games in base the blockchain. So the users have to go and bridge some assets, some ETH to base, and the user experience is terrible. They don't know that ETH exists on Ethereum, but they have to have ETH on base, and then they bridge incorrectly, or they have to go through a centralized exchange, etc., etc. The user experience is not great, and the layer twos haven't really solved for this. So Thorchain solves this issue. Actually, you have base on THORChain, and you actually can allow users to just have ETH on their Ethereum blockchain and then just swap for ETH on base. So why not get a business developer for THORChain with that budget that you have? You pay them weekly, and then you have this guy going with all of the games on base and telling them, hey, you have this problem for your user, this user experience issue. Why don't you integrate THORChain to the game? Yes, of course, it provides less volume for THORChain, but it provides mindshare. And then in the platform, you can have two buttons: bridge to XYZ game, or use THORChain to have assets in 5 minutes. And then to get out of base, that's also another issue. You have to wait for the what's the word, for the batches to go out, and then you have to wait 24 hours, 36 hours, depending on the layer two, to get your assets out. The THORChain gives them to you in a matter of minutes. So having someone to dedicate themselves to just integrate THORChain into specific platforms would be a low hanging fruit, and it would be cheap compared to doing, a big scale marketing for things like Ledger, etc. So what I'm saying is do it in parallel.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we get, there's all different things we can do in parallel, right? It's all different ideas that we can employ. It's just we need the money to do it, right? Like we can, I'm sure we got each of us come up with a few ideas that are great and should be tried. But yeah, we need the money to do it, right? To get the reach, to get out there. Um, so it's got to start somewhere. We got to get something to work first to kind of justify spending more money on it.
ShapeShift, did you have something you want to say?
I've been meandering, of course. GM, everybody. Just here to remind everybody we'll do a little experiment. Can I just graciously take maybe 30 to 70 seconds, and while you're listening to me go ahead and think who you want to invite in here, or think of a partner, and quote post them as you quote post the space, or forward it to a friend. Do some community building effort magic. So I just want to remind everybody that this isn't an Apple space. You don't have to come and get hired. Let's abstract the word marketing out of any further talk and make it co-marketing. Because like at the Shapeshift DAO, it's kind of, I'm here to reiterate that I think we're here for DeFi. We're not here to ask for permission. So we should have a collective. Perhaps consider, um, honoring the gracious balls on the node operators to put it up there to get these nodes going and stuff, and the talent and effort and belief of the devs. We would be nothing. So Kenton, thank you for that. And if you guys can somehow convey node consensus, I think that'd be useful, or have them, order decaf coffee so we know there's some trouble or something. But how about we take a geek route? We could do it all. But how about a simple value for value? Just as hackers go up and break shit for bug bounties, we'll just apply that metric for marketing bounties, or objectives, or members, or downloads, or fill in the blank. I'm going to post some stuff for reference and educational outreach efforts. And I think we got this, guys. We just got to, you know, get together, call some plays, develop some marketing campaigns, price them out, and then try to make a co-marketing effort with the other partners or trading groups or fill in the blank, and just go, go, go. Let's go.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
actually.
Thanks for having me.
yeah,
Go
that's
ahead, Kenton.
that's the point. Like you said about hackers going for the best ROI. Like that's the whole point. This isn't about trying to pick favorites on which front end you like or not. It's where do you think the best ROI is. So that's kind of my point, starting with trust and ledger. The other thing is too, if a front end wants to like match, like say like, okay, well, if THORChain spends X, we'll spend Y. Then okay, fine. Let's focus some dollars there, right? If a front end is supporting Thor, maybe front end only has THORChain integrated. All right, fine. Let's focus on you. Like there's a lot of front ends that have Maya and Chainflip integrated. Well, why should we prioritize people that have our competition versus front ends that only have THORChain, right? So we can start getting into nuances like that. But um, yeah, we got to start somewhere, and we got to get proof of concept. And the more money we can make, the more we can spread around everybody. And um, yeah, it's the best way I can say it. It's not about picking favorites. Like believe me, trust me, guys. I know the front ends that are truly supportive of THORChain. From the beginning and through thick and thin. And I do think they should get some love, but um, I got to think about it from like the dollar cents point of view. Where's our best chance of ROI? Um, if maybe try and the crypto XYZ said he disagreed with me about Trust Wallet being low hanging fruit versus ThorWallet. Um, uh, uh, Hash that out for me. Walk me through those steps. Why you think Trust Wallet could have better ROI than sorry, why could ThorWallet have better ROI on marketing than Trust Wallet? Maybe I'm not seeing something. So walk me through those steps. Um, yeah, because this isn't
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
again, it's not an agenda for me to like I'm picking my favorite. That isn't. I'm thinking about THORChain and what's going to make the most money for THORChain right away.
yeah. So how I think about it is, first of all, I mean, we are not planning with receiving any funds from THORChain. This is just my honest, direct opinion on how I see it, and if I would manage the money from THORChain's perspective, how I would do it. That's my honest take, because from ThorWallet's perspective, uh, luckily, and I think also thanks to all the work we have done, we had an amazing start of the year. I mean, we have been number one over the last weeks, and we see now for the first time ThorWallet above anyone else. And I don't know if that's going to continue. We hope we're working for that. And we have a plan for marketing that started last year and we're going to continue in this year. So we have a very structured plan how to deploy funds, how to do it in different channels, how do we measure the customer acquisition cost, and how do we make that profitable for us. Um, and that's just from for Wallet's perspective. I mean, we are going to deploy funds because for us it's profitable to acquire users as they're highly sticky and they are very active. Um, where what I was saying with Trust Wallet example is that, and it's not about us versus Trust Wallet. This is everyone versus everyone, right? I think first of all, I think the pie needs to become bigger. It's not like we want to steal their users. It's not about that, but it also is about being realistic. There's not gonna be 10 million available. There's gonna be whatever there is, 100K, 50K, 200K. But my perspective on this is and it's not THORChain, Ethereum, or whoever. It needs to be market driven, right? Because why would the chain decide who wins and who loses? And it's not favorites. It is whoever is bringing volume to THORChain then should get funds. Simple as that, in my view. If they are getting more users, getting more volume, then they get more. Um, and then how do they market? Then that needs to go into details. How do they the distribution and so on. But from our perspective, we have a very clear way to allocating those funds into performer marketing. We understand what is the cost for us to bring those, and the only reason why I disagree is because since the very beginning, these large players were going to come into THORChain, and it's like a double-edged sword. I mean, I was excited when I saw Ledger. I was excited when I saw Trust Wallet, and even others recently. BitGet, we met several of them recently in Paris. Kudos, and the more volume to THORChain, the better. But at the same time, THORChain has gone through some proof of fire recently with THORFi, with many things, and I think that we also need to start thinking who are our long-term partners. How do we work with those that are closer to us? How do we work with partners that are less long-term partners, right? Like if things get tough and people are really ready to drop in a second, then I think, in my view, that needs to be considered, right? Because how I see it right now is we had almost the chain died, right? Because that's what happened, and some people, quote unquote, put on. I don't want to say threat, but they want to protect their users, and they're in their own right. But they say let's just wait until the water stabilizes, um, and that also put more fire, right? More people were scared. Oh, what if Trust Wallet? What if Ledger? What if all the big integrations go away? Um, and I think that's something where the chain also needs to consider um, how is that risk coming to the chain itself. We want to diversify also to have more integrations that continue to provide volume. We don't want to be like, oh, if Trust Wallet cuts THORChain and Ledger cuts THORChain, then the chain is dead, which is basically what happened. So that's why, like, I try to look at it, and I really don't say this from like just ThorWallet lens. I see it from like how the chain has survived. We also need to start putting some market mechanism. And if there's 250K, and I mean, I know that that's not going to go a long way, but so be it, right? Like if that means some guys get 10K, some guys get 20K, I mean, that is who is driving volume to the chain, so they should be allocated uh, in that fashion. So
Um,
those are my like my views on how do we implement the money. Like we can talk on that in more details, but we have a plan. But that's not the focus for my iteration. It's just like how do we make it market driven and not, because my other concern is, at some point then you can become like, oh, who gets this favor, and we definitely want to avoid that. And the Fisher model that THORChain has had since the beginning was like a super smart innovation, right? Like you bring volume, you get. So like it's a win-win situation.
Well, let me so Kenton has to leave soon, so but I want to break down some numbers here. So on top affiliates, we go to runescan.io. Top three place, we have Trust Wallet, 16 million. Ledger, same thing, 16 million. And then third place is ThorWallet, 11 million, which are very impressive numbers, followed by ThorSwap, Asgard at BigGet Wallet. Okay, so I think to give yourself your due, CryptoXE, you are correct. You guys are bringing in lots of volume. And I use ThorWallet too, full disclosure, guys. I love ThorWallet. And you guys did show tremendous loyalty and came to the defense of Thor. And you didn't halt swaps, which I think was actually quite crucial when we were in a weakened state. So I want to give you your full due. That is correct. And then also, in fairness to Trust Wallet too, the CEO came out and did give us a big hug and say that they didn't, remove THORChain because they thought it might kill the protocol, and that they really admired the team and the community. So there was a lot of good things that happened. I understand your concerns, and I want to give Kenton his full due here, just because right now we're just getting started. I mean, just the very serious attempt at marketing, and we do have limited funds. Just for the first time, let's just put our reservations aside for right now. Let's just give it a shot. Okay, let's give it a shot. We're going to get some data, and then we'll go from there, because I do fully want to. I want to make sure all the interfaces at some point do get some love for sure. Okay, but we have to prove the ROI here. But I want to make sure I give you your full due and your respect, because you have a reputation that is excellent, and I want to make sure that everyone hears it on this call, and you do a great job. Kenton, I know you're limited on time, so I want to give you the floor. If you have anything to say?
Just yeah, add like yeah, to me, like if there's a front end that is doing their own marketing and can show that it's working, great. then that's more reason for THORChain to contribute to that. Especially if the front end has an affiliate link, and I know ThorWallet does. That helps, right? We can use those and have actual like demonstrable proof that it's working. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to go to the nodes of THORChain. How is this making money for THORChain? And it is going to be a market-driven thing. Just like the front ends, nothing's stopping them from integrating Maya or Chainflip or whoever else comes along. We can't stop them from doing that. And forgive me if I know ThorWallet has Maya. Does ThorWallet have Chainflip integrated? I know I know Trust.
Yeah, we have integrated them all.
Yeah, and so ThorSwap does, AsgardX does. Like, you guys are looking to protect your interests too, right? So, we're all trying to be friends here and get along, but we have to boil it down at some point. And so, I think I don't know, I don't know how else the way to say it, but I want my end game is that we have money going to all of the front ends, and ideally we would have equal volume coming from every front end on THORChain. Like that is our most ideal outcome. So that's what I want, right? And it's not going to happen; it'd be impossible. But that should be our goal, so that we don't have so THORChain isn't truly reliant on any one front end. One or two can leave, and it's fine. They only represent a portion of the pie. I literally the whole point of this is to not be reliant on one front end, but to use the money. If one front end does become really big, to use that money to grow the other competing front ends to diversify THORChain's volume. So, like the bigger one front end gets, and the more money we make from it, like the more we got to spend on the other front ends to diversify our volume. So that we're not beholden to anybody just turning us off. But I do kind of get going here, guys. Maybe I kind of want to just add to the big picture. What I've been thinking is, I think our real competition here are the centralized exchanges. Coinbase and Binance. People are they're used to trading their Bitcoin on a CEX, and that's part of the marketing is really just to kind of educate and teach people to stop doing that, to do it inside their wallets. And I think honestly, a big part of it is visual. Like it's one thing to say it, but to create a video of showing somebody how to actually swap Bitcoin in ThorWallet, in Trust Wallet, in whatever wallet, can go a long way. And I'm guilty of this as well. Whenever we see someone on Twitter complaining about a problem with trades, and we all spam them, right? You can see all the comments. Use THORChain, use THORChain. That actually doesn't work. Like it's not like what does that mean? Use THORChain. You go to the website THORChain.com. It's not obvious how to use it, what to do. You got to go. You really have to dig and go through all these steps to figure out well how do I actually use THORChain. Really, what we should be doing is telling people to use whatever our favorite interfaces, our favorite integration. So we should be saying use ThorWallet and have a link, your referral code link that person can click on to go use ThorWallet, or whatever front end you like. Tell people to use that front end. And if anybody out there is good at doing videos, if you can do like a screen video of how you actually place a Bitcoin swap inside these front ends, I think that goes a long way to helping educate people and show people how easy it is. And so something else I want to add is, let's say we get this awesome marketing engine going. All our integration partners are happy. Everybody's making money. There's marketing money going to all the different front ends. We've got this real engine going that's working. Then we can focus that money. Then we can focus some money more on harder to measure stuff like brand awareness, getting new investors in Rune. Because if we start today trying to get new investors in Rune, fine, that might work. But then if none of the metrics are improving, they'll just leave. They'll just sell their rune in a year. And we just wasted all that time and money on somebody to eventually just leave. So if we can focus the money on improving the metrics, which will in turn drive up the rune price, right? Because increasing volume, that's buy pressure on rune, that'll drive up the rune price. Then we go to investors, say, listen, look at our metrics, they're going up and up and up. You know, all this blue sky, you know, we're going to reach all these targets at some point if we stay on this trajectory. That's a much easier sell to investors, and they're much more inclined to stay invested because those metrics will keep playing out, and it'll be proof of concept for them. And then we can also take some of that money and do more broad marketing, like anybody who's new to crypto. THORChain should be one of the first tokens they know about and think about buying. Like, look at all the normie friends you have that ask about Ripple and Cardano. And it's like, how in the hell do you know about these, right? They don't know anything about Bitcoin or Ethereum, any other token. They always ask you about Ripple and Cardano. Why is that? Marketing. They've just nailed Web 2 marketing and getting that message out there to everybody that that's the first crypto they want to own. And that's what I would, for me, that'd be like the end game with marketing for THORChain, is to work on marketing like that, where we get brand awareness, everybody knows about it. You know, if THORChain really truly is going to be a top 10 token, we want to be top 10 token on people's minds, and get those new, you know, anybody new to crypto, THORChain being one of the first tokens they think about buying. So yeah, that's how I'm thinking about this, guys. That's my big rant. I do got to get going, so I appreciate this. Maybe, yeah, maybe we can, if this conversation keeps going, people have more questions, we can talk about this again next week. Like, this doesn't have to be a one time. But yeah,
and
I'll stop there.
Yeah, hey, thanks, man. And I hope Crypto XE and you guys have DMs going. It's just like having a conversation. The best disinfectant is sunlight, guys. So, like we said, we're gonna have spaces every week. And if anyone disagrees or has a problem or think we can optimize something, this is an open floor. All right, we're just trying to do what makes the most sense given the scenarios and variables that we have. Kenton, dude, thanks so much. The space is gonna keep going, guys. But thank you, Kenton. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you. And I do want to do something self-serving. If you do support marketing efforts, you do want me to keep working on this, I'm not asking to get paid from THORChain to do this. I'm doing it all pro bono. So is Scorch, another node operator. He's doing this pro bono. We're working together on this. If you guys want to support our efforts, bond with us, the bond provider with us. That's how we're making some money off the fees there, right? So that's what keeps us going. So if you want to support our efforts, bond with us. Scorch is SCORCH. He's a bit more quiet on Twitter and Discord, but he's there in the background. So yeah, thanks, guys. I'm gonna leave. Hopefully the space keeps going, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you,
Hey, brother, take
Kenton.
care.
See
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
This is a good segue, Jane. We have a UI being developed, and I see some node operators in here, Slam Bammer and stuff.
Yeah.
Kenton's just leaving, obviously. Do you want to go ahead and mention this UI that's getting really close to being released here? That'll allow people to bond their rune to nodes. That's what something's been requesting.
Yeah. The Rune Bond apps UI. Yeah. So after I think a few weeks ago, after a space, then I put up the concept of how the UI should look like. So our developer, one of the well-known developer in THORChain community called Hippocampus, he picked it up and really on the way to build the UI that to allow the rune holder to allow the node operator to list their requirement on their
Using my phone now, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go to my earbuds here.
Okay. If you guys could give me thumbs up if I sound okay. Okay, let me get everyone invited here. Eric, I'm going to invite you to speak. Okay, I see you, Butterfly. Okay, perfect. Do I sound okay, guys?
Hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a surprise that we thought that the call host we can be the call host, we can keep the space going, but yeah, it just
That-
didn't work that way.
You know, I wonder if it was me because when Kenton left, it was still had his name up there, but I modified the title of the space. And as soon as I push enter, it was like maybe 3 seconds afterwards, it died. I don't know if there's like a bug there or that was just a coincidence, but so that actually might have been me. I don't know.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You have just make up with it. Yeah, it's okay.
Yes. Okay, so go ahead, Jane. Go ahead and guys, please share the space so we can get some people back in here.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Yeah.
Share.
I'll just continue to tell that, for the RuneBond apps, right, the UI, we are very close to get it launched with a fully functional UI, so that the node operator can list their requirement for the rune holder to come to like kind of shopping with the UI, and then to consider with which node they would like to request for whitelist, and from there they can get accepted, get their address whitelisted by the node operator will get the notification, will whitelist their address, and then the rune holder will be able to use any of their preferred UI, like with the Valdisig, right, for example. Then they can go on to bond their rune. So this UI is really to address the concern from the community about they have no idea who are the node operator, how they should actually request to get their rune bonded. So this UI primarily is to address this concern, and this coming to be launched, and hopefully we estimate to get it launched mid of next week, around April 15, and show some love. We did created a X account called Rune Bond Apps. So follow it, and then follow our development, and along the way when you see the UI, you would like to provide input for improvement. Any feedback are welcome as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and shout out to Hippocampus for stepping up to build this UI. This is something that was requested by the general community. If you are a bond provider and you are thinking about bonding, I would encourage you just to do it anyway. It's really not that hard, but then going forward, you can utilize this interface. You guys have seen the results of the Raise the Bond campaign, and I'm not going to take personal credit for it, or nor Jane. I mean, this is all of us. All of us are doing it. The new node operators that came online, Slam Bammer, who is still in the audience. We did it together, and I want to make sure we hit 120. That's the goal. Let's max out our node count. I want to make the devs start thinking about expanding the node and node count possibilities here, because the more rune we can suck into the system, that's great. I'm actually curious. Aaluxx from my protocol, my good friend, he actually mentioned we're increasing the burn rate to 10%. And I'm actually curious on your guys' thoughts on that. Oh, I got Slam Bam requesting. I'll get him up. What do you guys think of that?
If you ask me, okay, Eric, go ahead. Eric, being the
Yes.
MOCA folks, yeah, go ahead, comment.
Thank you, Jane. So I think first of all, and okay, this is not me being bossy or whatever, but a couple of days ago, THORChain published something about Q1, what happened, and then Q2, what's going to happen. And a lot of people in the comment section asked, okay, so what does this mean for THORChain? What does this mean for us? Can you explain this? Blah blah blah. And I think that first of all, we should explain to people who listen in the future or whatever, what does this mean? Like, I could give you my opinion, but I think it would be better to explain where does that 10% would come from. Would it be taken out from revenue for nodes? Would it be taken out
Everyone.
from
Yeah.
fees, etc.? So
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, to clarify that the burn takes the total amount of fees, and then just slashes it relative to the percentage. I do believe though that devs are not subject to that burn due to the order of events. I'd have to double check that. I'm going on memory, but I believe devs get their percentage, and then the burn is post that. If I remember correctly, I'm trying to remember a graph from Craster's Crypto. Um, which I'm personally fine with. I want them to make a lot of money. That, you want strong developers, but I believe that is the way it's coded. Um, yeah, so to increase the burn, you are basically going to burn the revenue for LPs, bond providers, and nodes. That's how that works.
exactly. So you are effectively taking away a little bit of revenue from the people that are, providing liquidity, providing the infrastructure, etc., etc. So my opinion is that 10% would be great for the network because okay, there's two things. If you asked me this question 3 months ago, I would say let's not play with fire because we would be, putting the people who are supporting the the tech behind in a complicated position. But right now, after everything that happened over the past couple of months, you know that the people who are still here and who want to keep building for the future are the ones who really believe in THORChain and are the ones who are diamond handed in crypto lingo. So playing with this percentage right now, I think it's the best way to go because you know that the people here are actually doing all of what they're doing for the protocol and because they want to see decentralized permissionless technology succeed. So I'm betting I'm willing to bet they are willing to get their percentage a little bit slashed for the good of the network. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, and I'm glad Slam Bammer's up here. I'm going to go to him after this, but one of the best things that happened, a lot of silver linings with THORFi. I mean, removing block rewards, the community coming together. We have more bond providers, more node operators, all that stuff. But one thing I really enjoy is that all the new bond providers, people who, by virtue of the fact that they're bonded their rune, they are long-term holders. They are now finally earning rune on their rune, and there is a great reallocation going with Rune relative to those who may be traders or who may not understand Thorchain, and those who are just long-term diehards. So that's a very encouraging thing. And I don't know if I'm smart enough to figure it out, relative like how much of a boon or how good it is to do the burn. But I think there is a compelling case, like increasing the burn when rune price is, I don't know, last time I checked it was like $1.10, $1.14, whatever it is. A lot of rune is being burned from the circulating supply. I do find that interesting. And I don't quite understand the effect that has in terms of marketing, because it is a perception thing where um if you have a lot of rune being burned, then you do have, I don't know, you want to use the word FOMO, but it's a depreciating asset. And I think there is something good there that's going on. Eric, I'll go ahead to you, and then I'm going to go to Slam Bammer. Go ahead and add what you're going to add.
Yeah, so there's two things to take into account for this. So when you look at hype tokenomics, when you burn tokens, that just speaks, that attracts a specific kind of investor. And yes, it's good for marketing. It's a good buzzword if you want to be completely raw. But the other thing, and I'm definitely not advocating for changing how this works, but if you look at things, you could also say, okay, maybe you don't want to burn it. Maybe you want to, use that percentage to provide deeper liquidity for underlying assets. For example, let's say that we need more liquidity for XRP once it goes live, because we want to provide deepness in the liquidity pool so that people can do big swaps, even though we have streaming swaps, right? But you could say, okay, maybe take a percentage of that, and instead of burning it because it also decreases the market cap, you could say, okay, this is never going to leave the protocol because it's going to go to a smart contract that nobody has access, but it will provide liquidity and it will generate fees, and those fees will stack on the liquidity pool to keep adding liquidity. So you could say that, but if you stay with how things are right now, having burns is one of the best marketing arguments that we could use. We just need to use it. But we have to take into account that the fully diluted value of the protocol will go down as burns go up. So we also need to take into account that the price has to go up to keep up with, that perception. Because if we keep burning, but Rune hovers around $1, people will just see the market cap going down and down, lower and lower. So it's just something to take into account.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I just feel intuitively. I don't have any like real facts to back this up. It feels good. I think it does help overall with the situation of improving the value of Rune by making a more scarce asset. So that's what my gut tells me. But I'm gonna go ahead and go to Slam Bammer. How you doing, Slam Bammer? New note here, guys. How's it been going?
Hey, yeah, good, thanks. Man, everything's running stable at the moment, so all good. Just there's been a few delays with the churn, but I know that Nine Realms is looking into it at the moment. I think I also have been really overwhelmed with the response to the Raise the Bond campaign. I think yeah, Patriot, you and Kenton have done an outstanding job. And I will say I think it's really been great for me to see how much the community is effectively supporting its own competition. So for every one node operator that gets bond, someone else doesn't, and so the fact that the current node operators are helping support newer node operators get started is really something. And the reason why I just wanted to call that out is I think that is something that's really important to consider when the new UI is being put up. We currently have a few node operators that run sort of quite a few nodes, and my concern is that with the UI coming in, it could lead in some effects to centralization, where you will start to have, if one node operator can make a good landing page, and they attract a lot of the bond, they'll start running a large number of nodes on the network, which could jeopardize security. But yeah, I guess it's just something to consider. Other than that, I'm trying to support Runtard with his work, and yeah, I think technically and on a fundamental level, uh, there's so many great things going on with THORChain at the moment. We just need to keep at it, and yeah, the volume's already increasing, and we'll see price respond at some point.
Are you ready to churn in? How are you looking on BPs? Do you need more BPs? Can you give us an update on that level?
Yeah, no, I'm ready to churn in. Just waiting on the base issue to be sorted. I'm already one of the nodes that's got to do it. So yeah, I've already been responding a little bit to people in the dev Discord who are saying they're considering running new nodes. There is a bit of a learning curve there. I think there's some teething problems that everyone will run into that's a bit unique. So yeah, I'm always happy to help out. I think it's a great experience, and I'm certainly very passionate about it.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Yeah, Runtard is an absolute legend. Him coming to the conclusion that he himself, despite being like fanatically loyal to the network, is a potential attack vector, because I'm assuming he lives in a part of the world that may put him at risk from regulation in terms of maybe swap volume that some government doesn't approve of on THORChain. So him teaching, which is essentially his own competition like Slambammer to be the best node operator, is just, it just makes me unspeakably happy. I absolutely love that guy. Fantastic. Guys, if you know anybody who's on the fence of becoming a bond provider, get them to bond their rune. Or if you know someone who's familiar with Kubernetes or thinks they might have the technical skill, we have to decentralize the network. I want everyone in here, whether you're Regiran, Maya Protocol, THORChain, I want you guys to make a lot of money. I want THORChain, all three of our protocols, MOCA to be really powerful. I want everyone to make money, but there's something deeper here, and that's quite existential. But thankfully, I think the risk has gone down with the pro crypto administration we got in the US, being that US is one of the biggest and some would say maybe the most important economy in the world, relatively speaking. I don't want to, necessarily make that case, but because all countries are important, but you know what I mean. The US kind of sets the flow in many ways. So we have 4 solid years, guys, and I really want to make sure that we grow this thing as much as possible, but I want to make sure we don't surrender our fundamentals and the things that keeps THORChain super strong. One of the things that I think about often is being over bonded, having more security to liquidity. An argument I hear often is that, well, many protocols, they don't have that much security for liquidity. And sometimes it's like 20 to 1, and then the argument is that they're safe, like it works fine. But I think this is pretty wrong on a very deep level because it just takes one of those protocols to go underwater. And then I think what would happen in that case is the rest of the market, then you start to question that security model. And, every security model has its own different mechanisms at play. But I think a really solid part of THORChain that has an unknown market premium, but I think is very powerful, is the idea that we have more security than we have liquidity. And, you could play with the 2-to-1 ratio a little bit. I'm fine on that area. But if something really bad happens to a protocol that has, let's say, just like $100 million in liquidity and is like has a $1.5 billion in supported assets, if something like that goes underwater, I think that's the time where THORChain can really distinguish itself and say, listen, look at all these other protocols. They are all underwater in terms of security versus liquidity, but THORChain maintained its healthy security posture relative to the assets it supports. Go ahead, Slambammer.
Yeah, just on that. Again, thanks. That reminds me. I've been meaning to put a post on X that sort of expands on that a little bit. I think the fundamental thing is that current when THORChain had a small number of node operators, the fact that they had to put up twice the amount of bond for the assets that they're securing, is a very absolute way of ensuring that they remain honest. Now, I think with the fact that the number of nodes is increasing, especially if the network does decide to move past 120 nodes, that also becomes its own level of security, right? Because then to be able to steal from a vault, you still need to manage 2/3 of the nodes on that vault. And the more nodes that we have across the network, the more difficult that becomes. And so I think from my perspective, if that's when we start saying, okay, we'll want to shift the 2-to-1 ratio to 1.5 to 1.2, the more nodes we have, the 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 more that's the second sort of layer of security that we can have, that level of decentralization. So yeah, that's why myself, I just see that increasing the number of nodes is another way for us to expand the network and also to help increase our scale. That will allow us to also increase the scale of the funds that we have locked.
Right, because when THORChain started, it was the amount of nodes that we had. I think it was like in the teens or maybe the 20s. I don't remember. It's a long time ago. But in that circumstance, you want a huge security to liquidity ratio, 2-to-1, because you want to make it absolutely disadvantageous to steal the funds. As we get more and more nodes, then that security model, I think, is relative, or there's a relationship between those where the more nodes you go up, then it becomes more reasonable and safer than to play with that just a little bit. But I really, for right now, I really want to push this thing as hard as we can. I want to get to 120. I want to, get MOCA firing all 4 cylinders. I want Ruggiero to go on all 4 cylinders. I want to get a sense of how much fees we're generating because fee. I think the price of Rune is really commensurate with the amount of revenue it brings in and how much money BPs, liquidity providers, and node operators are making. So I really want to just go maximize that as hard as possible. And if we get a bottleneck at any point, then we can revisit that. Jane, Eric, did you guys have any topics or anything you want to talk to on that idea alone, or what do you think of that?
Well, I think, yeah, Dennis, actually, please help me out here. Yeah, my mind is still stuck pretty much at the earlier days that how I understand THORChain work, right? So what I understand is that in my mind, still understand that there is this incentive pendulum that actually will show the status of it, right? Whether or not it's optimal or overbonded or underbonded. So right now we are overbonded, right, with our campaign here. And I know that we say that, oh, we should increase the node operator. The more node operator come and tune in, the more secure we are. So I'm just curious, right? Would it be really always really that secure when it comes to always overbonded? Or at some point, we should also still encourage the user or the rune holder to come and still provide the liquidity so that get the incentive pendulum is still in the balanced way. Yeah, this is something that I think I'm not smart enough to really catch it here when you guys say that you want to change the ratio from like the initial 2 to 1. I think initial is like 3. When you have 1 from the other asset, we should have 3 of the rune in the network, right? So yeah, please help me out here because I think that I'm still couldn't really wrap my head around here. Are we still now that should we encourage people come and provide liquidity from an LP standpoint?
I think so. I think I don't, if we go to active liquidity model, I'm not sure how that debate is going on. So yeah, it's hard to follow all that stuff. I do like the liquidity model. I just think we went astray with the savers and leverage and then the mint mechanism on ThorFi. Because when I was a liquidity provider back in 2021, I loved it. I thought it was working great. I was making great revenue in the Bitcoin pool. We had Luna come on, right? And Luna was an amazing integration. I know it died, obviously, but when we had Luna add their assets, there was so much swap volume. People were excited. And so the asset you add really matters, and the engagement of the community really matters. The problem is, I think there's just a little bit of damage done on the LP side because it's been such a long time with people not making revenue because of the leverage on savers and ThorFi. But now that we're getting to a point where we're getting rid of all that and we're returning to our original model, I would like that to go back. But then there's also the separate thing, which I need to think more about, is if we have secured assets on Rujira, that takes a lot of the security budget, which means that the pendulum is going to be favored towards nodes even harder in some ways. So I don't necessarily know the solution to that. I'm interested in exploring that idea. Slam Bammer, you got your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is actually what caused me to become a node operator. Is I'm also a liquidity provider in THORChain. I've been the ThorFi unwind was brutal, and like most other liquidity providers, I'm down bad. Like it was 90%. I think it's slowly recovering just due to the other assets tanking. Now, I I fully support the change of the incentive pendulum to shift to nodes, and the reason for that is this: the only way in which the liquidity providers that are currently in the network are going to recover is if the Rune price recovers. And the fastest way for that to happen is for us to encourage people to bond their Rune, right? To get it off Binance, get it into Node, and provide and provide them with the yield for doing so. That is going to be the best way to help the current liquidity providers. Now, do we need new liquidity providers coming in? That's it's possible, right? At the moment, the depth of liquidity on THORChain is sufficient to service what we have. with the changes that are coming in with the it's the order books for the ARBs, that should remove the need for additional liquidity there as well. Essentially, what new liquidity does is it it provides better price execution. But at the moment, we are looking to improve price execution through different ways. So I mean, I understand what you're saying. I do think there is some place for people providing liquidity, but I think more and more with the THORFi unwind with secured assets, if we shift to a more active liquidity model, LPing on THORChain is going to become a much more thing that you have to very actively manage, and so it's not as set and forget as the old days. So yeah, in summary, yes, I think we should be able to. It would be good to attract more liquidity, but at the moment, the best thing for the network and for all involved, including liquidity providers, is to push the rune price up, and that's what the choice was regarding the incentive pendulum.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. We have to get the room price up. That's how BTC LPs recover. I think that's absolutely correct. And your call to have people bond their room, get their rune off Binance. Kenton said in last week's space, if there's rune on Binance that is being used essentially against our ecosystem by short sellers and whatnot, right? So and it's been great. We've been sucking a lot of rune off Binance. Last I checked, like I can't remember the exact time frame, but we have like 5 million rune that's been sucked off Binance. And then there's an alert that triggers periodically in the alert tab, and a lot of the time it's been green, meaning rune is being sucked off Binance, but I don't know the time frame on how they make that measurement, whether it's every 24 hours or what. Because if we have 5 million that's been sucked off, the alert doesn't mathematically equal that. So I think there's some loss of data there. But in summary, I think it's been good. We've been getting more and more rune off the centralized exchanges, and again, as I alluded to earlier, it's going to long-term holders of rune. It's getting given to nodes, is given to BPs, is given to people who have a long-term interest. And then again, while the burn is so low, we're really burning a lot of rune right now. I mean, you guys have seen, one day we had like 7.7 thousand rune burned. I think it was the other day, 5,000. I mean, that's a lot of rune. We're approaching 1 million rune, guys. We're going to hit 700,000 soon. So when we hit that first 7 figures of rune burned, I think that'll be a great moment. The market will start to wake up, and I'm hoping it'll galvanize people to get invested, because THORChain's turned a corner. No block rewards, as I said. THORFi is being unwound, and I talked to Orion and Nine Realm devs. They're working very hard, you guys. They're trying to do as fast as they can, but they want to do it correctly. So they're being very careful. They want the rollout to be smooth, and they want to make this a smooth transition, because once we do that, then we have all these chains that are lined up to get added on, right? XRP, doesn't matter if you support assets or not. We want swap volume. We don't care where the swap volume is coming from. I actually know an XRP whale in real life. So the moment that goes online, I'm going to tell them about it. Go ahead, Jane.
Yeah, Dennis, thank you so much. And actually, it's already almost a time that I need to be off from this space. But before I go, I think for today's space, from the marketing talk that we had with Kenton, and even until today, until now, this new space, we're still talking about still want to encourage people to get their rune off sex and then come to become a bond provider. I think that the whole space triggered me to think about I think there's still so much that we need to educate the vast crypto community, because I still realize that not only the existing rune holder, right, they probably still the whole concept about the rune, what is the function about the rune, why they shouldn't just hold it, they should really put the rune into the network to work, right? That's the whole point of why rune exists. And then for the vast majority of the community out there, I still, like you mentioned, Dennis, earlier on, when we mentioned about the marketing, right? So like the Trust Wallet user, there are some certain Trust Wallet user that may still not yet knowing that what is THORChain about. And inside the apps, they can easily swap Bitcoin to Ethereum or Ethereum to Bitcoin natively without go to the SEX, right? So these are the things that I think still really lacking of educations. The vast majority of the crypto space, the community here that may still not know what is THORChain about. And what Kenton said is correct. And when we keep telling people to use THORChain, why not we record something to show people how easy it is to use the Trust Wallet in apps to do the swap without going to the SEX, and you swap natively, right? So to really sum it up, I think, yeah, Dennis, I think this space, right, the regular weekly space is so good that we can keep going on to provide more education, to really keep reminding people Rune is not for you to hold. It's really for us to put it back to the network, to secure the network, to get to let us all, go towards and achieve the decentralized finance dream, right? To have the ultimate power and the freedom with us. Yeah, that's all I want to say before I go off. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate you. And you have a good night's sleep. You're always a trooper. You're Malaysian time zone. So you always stay up late to do this. And I appreciate you very much. And you've been really helpful for the Raise the Bond campaign. And you are just in every way excellent. So you have a good night. Alrighty.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
And guys, this is an open space. Anyone can come up here and speak. It's no big deal. One thing I want to do though is because I have Eric up here and we have MOCA. I want to give them a little time here because Eric, I believe you guys have released an alpha, pre-alpha or something for MOCA. Do you want to take a second to talk about that at all?
Yeah, definitely, and I'm so glad that I had the feeling that I would be needed once Jane left the stage. Jane, thank you very much for hosting this. You're amazing. And yeah, I'm with kid duty right now, so I have to be a little bit quick. But and actually, oh, there's a few people that I actually sent a message to invite them to the alpha stage of MOCA. I'll be quick because I don't want to turn this into a MOCA shell. But you know, the way that we're building MOCA is that we want to provide as much use case to the cross-chain world, which is mainly THORChain. And you could argue that the hot girl from Maya is also um, in that scenario. We also have integrated Chainflip and a couple of others, but THORChain will always be the main player in the cross-chain ecosystem. I like to call THORChain the father of cross-chain. So to be quick, we do have a wallet. We do have the usual cross-chain swaps, like any other front end. But we do have a couple of other projects or other products that are part of the ecosystem. And one of them is to be able to pay with crypto in online businesses, but also in real life. The other one is cross-chain explorer, so that people do not have to go to SolScan, EtherScan, BSCScan, whatever. We are merging all of those into one place so that people can just track that, whatever they need to track. But the fourth one is the one that is actually going to provide a big adoption and onboarding use case for not only the cross-chain ecosystem and not only crypto, but also for normies. And we believe that it's going to be I don't really want to speak as if we are the holy grail, but the moment I was on board to MOCA to do marketing and a little bit of business development, I realized that this can actually onboard billions of normies into crypto. And of course, this is not going to happen tomorrow, but it has the potential to do so in the next decade, for example. And we are looking for alpha testers for this application that is actually it's going to be the hero of MOCA, and hopefully the hero of crypto in general, and we'll be able to onboard a ton of people. So if you want to be part of this, you're very early. We have under 500 followers. We have a little bit over 100 people who already signed up. We are capping that at 150. So there's only going to be 150 people who will see the product in alpha stage. And I don't know if we're preparing some stuff for those people. Maybe I'll talk to some guys outside of the MOCA ecosystem to prepare some stuff for them, because we might not want to do it directly from the company. I don't know. I have no idea. Right now, there are no incentives at all, only that you are contributing to, give feedback and polish an app that could change how crypto works right now. So that's it.
Yeah, guys, MOCA has always made me really excited. It's the on ramp of the normie into the crypto world, because there is an incentive to use crypto because it's going to be cheaper, because they're competing with Visa, Mastercard, whatever. Um, and there's a huge margin there that they can take advantage of. And basically, MOCA is just so incredible. Being allowed to use the decentralized liquidity pools of THORChain and Maya protocol to buy real good assets and services, and especially when you have the online ability of MOCA, you'll have it on the business. I think that's going to be tremendously accessible. So I'm very excited about that. And I like how you said that, Maya protocol is THORChain's hot Mexican girlfriend, because that's what we said the last 2 weeks. It's true. And to the, select individuals that, sent me the AI generated photos of basically a perfect female body, with a big, fucking hairy Aaluxx Mexican head on it. Thank you. I don't know I needed to see that, but not my proudest tug. That's what I'll say. Okay, but I appreciate it, guys. That was great. But don't ever forget that Maya protocol is THORChain's hot Mexican girlfriend, and MOCA is tight with those guys as well. There's amazing, amazing things we got going on, guys. So if there's anyone to be alpha testers, I highly encourage you to hook up with Eric, because all of you in here are aligned. And I want to make sure I put this out here, guys. I'm just an individual. I do my best. If there's anyone from Ruggira, MOCA, Maya Protocol, or THORChain, if you have anything you want to talk about, or any suggestions, or if there's something I can do better, please let me know. I'm only interested in improving. I have no ego. Or if I'm completely wrong about something in your opinion, come let me know. I don't care. Okay, guys? All right, so we're going on almost 2 hours if you combine this space with the previous space. If anyone has something they want to say or bring up a topic, please request now. I'm going to bring you up. I know you're up here, ShapeShift. You haven't talked in the second part here. I'll get you in just a second. But yeah, I want to make sure that we get everyone heard who wants to be heard. And if there's no one else, I'll probably got to wrap up. I got to go do some stuff with my dad today. So go ahead and ShapeShift. What's going on?
Hey, first I think I spy Logan down there. You gotta get his input and get back to marketing. I see K Monster down there staying up real late to hang out with us. God bless him. But I'd honestly want to purge Slambammer as much information as we can get out of, uh, just to reinforce how important it is to see what direction the node's consensus is going to take the whole environment. But I think regarding marketing, it bears repeating that even say AVAX or BNB or Dogecoin or Litecoin or all these other integrated assets that a wide variety of old school people already hold have not been made aware of the freedoms and the 0 to 1 technology that THORChain represents. I see Logan has a microphone now. I'd like to defer to the video master.
Go ahead, Logan.
Oh,
What's
we
up,
lost him.
guys? Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday, bro. What's going on, man?
I just went to the farmers market a little bit ago with my son, and now just getting back to emails and checking tweets and shit like that. Just kind of chilling, just observing. I was buying dips over the past 30 days, sizing up on some positions, reallocating. Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of people are like, "Oh, bro, you should be careful buying right now." It's like, okay, look, we had an 80% correction, and if you're not buying at this time when there's max fucking FUD after an 80% correction, like, why are you in crypto? Why are you here? Do you not like discounts?
Yeah, I totally agree, man. And I don't know. Yeah, I know you pay attention to a lot of projects. I don't expect you to be up to date on everything, but it's a really exciting time, man. I think one thing that's going on in THORChain, the community has really rallied and galvanized. We've gotten rid of the nonsense with THORFi and Savers. We're about to release TCY, which is a revenue sharing thing as collateral for the people who, we had to default on THORFi. So We got rid of block rewards. Our node operator account, we're about to hit all-time high on that. So exciting. We have more bond providers, unique individuals we've ever had. Swap volumes going up. We have new chains going to get added, XRP, a bunch of stuff. Solana's coming. So it's a very exciting time. And Logan, I don't know if you're.
What's the situation? What's the situation with all like the insolvency in the sense of like debt? You know, like has there been this good plan put in place to make the savers whole or whatever it is? Because I never had any money in that. I was just holding Rune token and round tripped, and I to be transparent, like I swapped out around like $1.50 back into other coins that I felt like maybe had a little bit more stability in the market. And it's not because I don't believe in the technology of THORChain. Like I think it's needed. It fucking works. It's just a lot of what crypto runs off of narratives, right? And it's hype. And so there was not the supporting things. And I felt like there was definitely more like pain to come, which I was right. But it feels like, things have kind of bottomed out here. So I'm not opposed to getting my stack back. It's just like, what is the path forward,
Yeah, I get it. So, okay, I'll just assume you haven't heard anything. Proposition 6 was introduced. That was Aaluxx from Maya Protocol. I think you're familiar with him. He's one of the lead devs there. Basically, Maya Protocol has the Maya token, which shares the revenue of the entire protocol. Okay. And so what the proposal was, just to keep it in super simple terms, is to make a Maya-like coin on THORChain that's called TCY, which is basically a revenue sharing token. So you can think of it like as a stock from a company that has like a dividend. Okay. And so that TYC is being allocated to Savers and THORFi users. It's going to start here in a few weeks. I think, if I'm not mistaken, pretty soon. I don't want to put exact time frame because they want to make sure they do it right. But basically, the TCY is going to be seeded, and it starts out as 10%. I'm sorry, 10%, 10 cents per TYC. And the only holders of TYC are going to be people who were affected by Savers and THORFi initially, besides the amount needed to seed the pools. And so people will have to swap for TYC in order to hold it. And how it works is when TCY reaches $1, the market determines worth $1, then their debt is essentially paid off because the debt was dollarized at the point of the default, which the crypto currently is worth, if I'm not mistaken, someone correct me, I believe it's worth less now than at the time of default. So they don't need actually $1. It was just dollar denominated, the dollar TYC needed at the time of dollar denominated debt. Okay. But there's no upside to TYC. It's basically a long-term play on the revenue generated from THORChain. I can send you some docs to break it down, but that's how it works. So, and then we also,
is there any projections like based off of like, I don't know, like current revenues or whatever THORChain did in the last year, like how long it would take based off of kind of like historical data to like break people back even or whatever it is?
well, they're even the moment TCY goes to $1, and that's just contingent on our success as a protocol. And that's hard to project. I mean, I wouldn't even know how. I mean, someone, Eric or anyone else, can speak to that. But my goal is just to help push THORChain's success maximally. And another thing we did immediately after the THORFi implosion, we got rid of block rewards, so there's no more dilution of THORChain. Basically, the reserve now is pretty much static, besides the gas fees that get allocated there. So yeah. So basically, TYC, it's gonna be released, and then people have to they have to just link the address that was affected on the assets, and then they get their TCY. And I want to make sure I send everyone to the audience. There is no rush whatsoever, to claim TCY. Please be aware for scams. People will make fake interfaces or do fake malicious links. There is no rush to claim this asset. There is no advantage for doing so. Okay. And in the the THORChain Telegram and on the other official platforms, we will have the link. There will be a special interface made. Okay. So Logan, it's a combination of the revenue that they earn from holding the TCY token and the point at which TCY gets to the dollar amount needed to make them whole, but also the TCY that's not been claimed yet by people. The entire revenue of that, so it's 10% over 200 something million TCY. the revenue that's in that module just goes to buying the TCY asset. And so it like it's buying TCY and it goes back into the module. And so it's always buy pressure on there. And that's always going to occur no matter how much TCY is claimed or not. Yeah, there's always buy pressure on TCY. So it's basically the maximum effort to make people whole. So in order to make that happen, we just have to make sure that THORChain is very successful, which I think we have everything going for us right now, thankfully. Go ahead, Logan.
What's kind of interesting is like I never really heard. I heard whispers of the insolvency, or more so like risk of the protocol due to lending and whatnot, like maybe 4 months ago, 5 months ago, but it was just more so whispers. And then all of a sudden it was like, boom, fuck THORChain. You know what I mean? Like that's just kind of almost came out of left field, right? And I don't really understand like why that took it was like all of a sudden everyone got bearish, right? Out of nowhere. That's at least from my perspective. As things obviously went down in price, it was kind of like, well, the only thing that really changed in my mind was the price was going down, but that was the rest of the market was going down. Then all of a sudden there was this max FUD event. So it's just kind of weird that, you know, I don't really know what I'm asking. I guess I'm just asking like why did it, if this risk was kind of there for like a year or 2 years, whatever it was, why did all of a sudden just blow out of proportion randomly where the whole insolvency narrative just picked up steam?
Yeah, so so what happened was really dumb. So okay, so I don't know if you're familiar with the admin Mimir. An admin Mimir was a Mimir that devs could use to turn off certain features. And so back in the early days of THORChain, this is really important because the code was very new. If there was an emergency, the devs wanted like a kill switch, like to turn things on or off. Now, the admin Mimir was very selective in things it could change and parameters wise. Mostly it was just a feature on, feature off thing. Okay. And so there is I don't know what the truth is, okay? But on dev Discord, the Lena profile, which apparently there was multiple people who use that profile. Again, I don't know that, that's whatever. There was an abrupt pause on THORFi and Savers redemptions. Okay. And this happened about 2 a.m. my local time and Mountain Standard Time in the US. So the United States was pretty much asleep. So when this happened, it was kind of a shock because that's something that was like the golden rule. You just don't ever stop withdrawals, right? Because that just creates a FUD event, right? But that happened, and then
it creates a bank
yeah,
run where
right,
everyone starts scrambling for
yeah.
the exit.
So what happened was 4 hours later, it was reversed by 3 nodes, right? Because any node can reverse any admin Mimir. It just takes 3 nodes. So 4 hours later, American node operators woke up, said, "What the heck?" They stopped it, and then there was like a little bank run that happened. People were closing their loans, like it was a mad dash, and then it stabilized. It was fine. Okay. And then I think a few, like, I don't know, like a week or something like that went by. And then Nine Realms and some other people got together and just said, you know what? The risk here, because of that happened, they made the hard decision to just say, you know what? We got to really think about THORChain safety here. So they paused THORFi and Savers redemptions. And that's when the liability essentially ended. And they said, okay. And then the community had to think of a way to, how are we going to make these
Yeah,
people
you almost
whole?
have like two different types of people that use THORChain. You have like 3 types. You've got like people that are in the community that used savers and various products, and they essentially just kind of are screwed for the moment being. It's not favorable to them. You have people that use THORChain that were not in those positions, like me. Like I never had any money in savers or whatnot. I was just simply held Rune. And then you've got all this like other activity, which is people that are not even really, they're using THORChain without even realizing that they're using it, right? And they don't necessarily have exposure to Rune. So it's kind of like if you categorize those people in 3 buckets, 2 out of the 3 are completely fine, and those are the people that are driving revenue anyway. Or
Right. Yeah.
like kind of So it's not like your main value acquisition model is affected. It's more so just like, all right, you have the max FUD arose from people not like it was anxiety, right? Anxiety is caused by not having clear direction. That's what causes anxiety, right? So like there was no clear direction and I felt anxious and I'm like, dude, I'm not going to be holding a bag to fucking zero. I'll just swap out. Like, and it was crazy because dude, I bought, you know, I don't know, like 25,000 rune or so, somewhere in that range. And then rode it from $1.30, $1.50 all the way to like $12 or whatever, and then round tripped it all the way back to my initial position, right? Which is just really fucking painful. But you know, again, I'm not opposed to getting back in at these levels at all. It's just the like the only thing that I'm kind of concerned with is not from a tech perspective, but more so can the protocol have enough good news to combat um, you know, the FUD, if you will, or just like kind of negative cloud overhead, right? Because people don't forget in crypto for the most part. So that's just like my only not a tech concern, not will it generate revenue, but just specifically when people aping into Rune, let's say, trying to drive that price up, is that going to be hindered because of the cloud, or will this cloud dissipate? You know?
Yeah, and I think the important thing is like when you make a mistake, you have to own it, right? And we don't hide things here in THORChain. Everything's open. And Thorfine Savers was a bad design. It was a fuck up. And that's why a lot of effort was put into, you know, thinking of a proper way. There was like 4 or 5 different competing proposals, and then the community quickly rallied behind Alex's Prop 6 when it happened. So the important thing is, yeah, like THORChain, you know, Thorfi and Sabers, we made those things when we were young. I mean, it's hard, Logan. Like when you have a protocol like this that's never existed before, like it's pretty crazy, you guys, just thinking about it. Like what we have right now has never existed in the history of our species. This is the first attempt where you have code that controls basically these decentralized liquidity protocols. And so it kind of, you know, what's possible, right? And Thorfi and Sabers were built on the poor game theory that Rune would outperform the exogenous assets that are next to it, right? And generally speaking, if you looked at a chart, that was the case. But, you know, if you build your game theory around that idea, then you create counterparty risk because then you essentially change the game theory. It's almost, I don't know if this makes sense. It's like trying to measure uh oh, I guess it doesn't make sense. I won't say that. But you know, you guys know what I'm trying to say. You know, if you make a design that relies on a particular behavior, then you're going to incentivize the other counterparty, the behavior, and people are going to factor that in, which then undermines the whole thing. Looks like we lost Logan for some reason. That's unfortunate. But hope I did okay explain that. Slam Bammer, you unmuted. Were you trying to say something?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I can understand your frustration. And look, I mean, if you're on this space, it's likely that you are quite invested in the protocol. I will say, you know, if I'm 100% honest, I think it's going to take us. It is going to take us some time to come back, right? So people, you're right that people don't forget, and there is still a whole bunch of, you know, negative sentiment going around, and that's because you know it hit people really hard. I think the main thing that's going to actually sort all of that out and, you know, put us back on the straight and narrow is executing on what we've committed to, right? There is so much good stuff that we've been doing, right? We've got the ThorFi compensation mechanism with TCY going down. We've got all sorts of stuff that's just really there, that's going to be putting us in a position where we are going to be the protocol is just going to become so much better. We've got the app layer, we've got you, you know, all the new chains being integrated. We've got like we've been talking about far more node operators than previously. There's so many good things that are going on with the protocol. All that we have to do is just hunker down for the next little while and deliver, right? So devs keep shipping. TCY is due to land in towards the end of April. that's going to be one thing where we can say, okay, yes, we know that something bad happened. Here's the next step to compensate. Ruggiero app layer, it's just started, right? In 2 months' time, let's see how that's up and running. You're talking about what's going to get things kicked off. We can start posting screenshots about that. Say, look how easy it is. Look at this interface. Compare it with, Hyperliquid. Compare it with Binance. This is really a competitor. And I think when we start demonstrating those things, delivery of those things, I have no doubt that THORChain will come back, because the fact that THORChain hasn't died now with everything that's happened, I think just speaks to how rock solid the foundations of what this protocol is. I think the design of it in many ways is brilliant. Obviously, ThorFi was a mistake, but there's so much good here that if we just keep building on those foundations, I think that's what's going to see us, recover.
Absolutely well said. Just think about it, guys. I wish Logan was here. I was going to tell him about the Bybit funds going through THORChain, but just think about it. We had ThorFi and Savers, go underwater immediately, okay, which caused a huge, FUD event, which is understandable. The community rallies, comes up with the promotion, things just start to stabilize, and then this Bybit exploit happens. And then hundreds of millions, and then ultimately over $1 billion goes through THORChain through exploited funds. And then we have another FUD event on top of that. And then the node operators have a fight amongst themselves between censorship and permissionless, or just permissioned and permissionless, right? We decide to keep the swap volume. Extremely brave thing to do, given everything that's going on. And here we are. Here we fucking are, guys. Held high. We did it. You know what I mean? So when it comes to THORChain, my biggest bullish, my instinct, yeah, Ruggiero, MOCA, the swap volume, new integrations, new chains, new node operators, new bond providers. That all gets me extremely bullish. But the thing that gets me the most excited is just the sheer resilience of this protocol. I mean, that was incredible. That the rally, what a rally that was. I can't even begin to describe how impressed I am with everyone who took part in that. I mean, that took a lot of courage, especially the node operators. Could you imagine being a node operator? You've got maybe multiple nodes, you've got millions of Rune on the line, and you decide not to push that churn out button and you stay in the network and you ride it out. I mean, shout out to everybody. Absolutely legendary stuff. I really think, I hope this isn't my ego speaking or like a bit of narcissism, but there really needs to be a documentary made on what THORChain's been through, not only through ChaosNet, through the Luna implosions, the various edge cases, the consensus failures back in the day, everything we had to learn to figure out to make THORChain to work. What a dramatic story. And now, finally, for the first time, just speaking as myself, I know I'm with THORChain and I'm an educator, but I always try to be honest. Like, for the first time, I feel like we figured it out. We figured it out the right way. We've got an app layer for the DeFi stuff. We've got bond providers coming in. Like, everyone understands the game plan now. We have Kenton and others doing marketing, right? Like, we finally, it took a hard event, but we just, it's like it sobered us up. You know what I mean? It's like someone just gave you a good shake and woke you up. And now everyone is just so lock-centered and focused, and the devs are working hard. We've got Strange Love. We've got so many people working. What an amazing time. So I just appreciate everyone, and particularly people like Slam Bammer who are taking up the gauntlet to become node operators. Absolute legendary stuff. Go ahead, ShapeShift.
I'm just saying, God love you guys. Thank God for the talent of the devs and the balls on the node operators. Slam Bammer, I'm rooting for you. Let's go ahead and OCD refocus and have like a regular marketing spitball campaign, DeFi style. We can reminisce and regale and go over historical facts and the tale of THORChain and the pitfalls and all that. But I I promise right now, as soon as I can deliver some alpha, the Shapeshift devs have some sick stuff cooking, and it's basically when you buy Rune with Shapeshift, you're also burning Fox, Shapeshift token, and Rune. And you can do it with zero KYC, which provides the freedom for otherwise oppressed people in other countries that could benefit from the miracle of what THORChain is. They don't have to go into all the understanding of it and all the bridgelessness and all the permissionlessness and all the this and that and the other. We need to touch all the other people that are currently integrated, and we're already overwhelmed and they're vastly underserved and unaware because of it right now. So we got a lot of work on our plate to do. And if we bonk our heads together permissionlessly as a DeFi effort and just DAO it, that's what we're doing at ShapeShift. Anybody can bring forth a proposal, the DAO votes on it, we'll fund it. Everybody's welcome. We're building in public. There is no off switch. We need to get going, guys. I don't mean to dissuade constant regaling of rehashing of all the pitfalls and how our metal was tested by fire and this and that. The people that are here, the people that are in, are for the reason that they understand it and they have conviction. Logan, that madman Logan wrote it all the way down from 12 bucks to a buck. Why? Conviction.
Yeah,
I think that's, come on, guys. Let's
yeah,
go.
I
I wish I could tell you, but you just, don't believe me, just watch. I'll drop the alpha as soon as the devs start breaking the shit out of their new what they're cooking. Devs build things and then they break them. That's what StageNet is. We got some miracles coming, so be
Yeah,
ready.
I agree. And I
Bud.
love the fact that there's all these other teams who are, working. I mean, all these different interests that are building on THORChain and other decentralized protocols. I mean, the headwinds are us. And I agree. I'm not one um, to kind of roll around in the bad things that happen. But I think an important thing you got to do, guys, is when someone says something bad happened on THORChain, I think the most powerful thing is just to own it and say, yeah, that happened. We made a mistake and this is what happened because of it. I mean, you don't try. I don't like to get super defensive. Like when Logan came up here, I didn't deny anything he said. He said, man, it seemed really bad there for a second. I'm like, it kind of was. But we came through, guys. So I think THORChain and other decentralized protocols, we just have to own our mistakes and be proud of our mistakes because, not necessarily proud in the fact that people got hurt. I hate that so much. But the fact that we're willing to take risks and we have this entrepreneurial, innovative spirit. And if you're serious about, liberating the world economically, you can't do it without error. You have to take chances. You have to try new things. And that's what we do. We have a new speaker up here, Interchain. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, no, I wanted to add something, an observation I made when to the statement ShapeShift just made about no KYC. And I thought you guys might find this interesting because it was actually quite a long time ago. I made a video and I called it How to Buy Bitcoin Without KYC. And it's just a video where I go to this Bitcoin ATM and I show it works, nothing special. But what I've now observed, and I think is very interesting, is that this is like a YouTube short, right? In this video, it gets like 300 views a day nowadays, and they all come from YouTube search. So there's actually, I think, a lot more people around that kind of are into this like centralized exchange-less thing, or like they have problems with the exchanges, I would guess. So they look for alternatives and then they actually search this kind of stuff in the internet. And yeah, that's just that I wanted to tell you that.
Yeah, that's great. And if you ever make THORChain content or anything related to DeFi and you want to like share it, feel free to you can tag me or whatever. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of opportunity here. Especially with the KYC thing. We had a speaker last week come up. I believe he said he was from Venezuela. And that always moves me when people come up who are from countries that are under maybe harsh regimes or really scared. I have a buddy in Iran, for example, and that's always humbling for me because it reminds me, we have our own problems in my own country, and then people who speak about their countries, you got your own issues, but there are people out there who are really depending on this technology, not only for themselves, but just to liberate their entire country. I mean, the permissionless way is the only way in my mind, and that what keeps me going. So yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And I just have this endless amount of motivation to push what we're doing here, guys, because yeah, we'll make a lot of money if it's really successful. I mean, making 0 to 1 products in the world, that's what happens. Okay. When you change the game, you make lots of money, but we're also doing a lot of good here. And that's what gives me more motivation today. It's yeah, I can't get enough of it. And more into my veins. I love the DeFi space. Okay, guys, we're coming on about 2.5 hours. I gotta get going sort of soon. But I want to give anyone else wants to make a quick statement. They want to come up, but I'm probably gonna wrap it up here in maybe like 5 or 10 minutes. Did anyone else on stage have anything they want to add? And again, I appreciate all the speakers today. It's always great. And we're gonna do this every week, guys. We typically do it Saturday USA time. So yeah. Go ahead, Shapeshift.
How much time do
Oh,
I
just
got?
go ahead, buddy. It's all right.
I'm just, I'm just playing with you. You know, Patriot, you and I were the freaks listening to the spaces way before, and upon what 2 Augusts ago, you and Crypto Sailor jumped on a space, and that's what made me get my first damn social account. So damn you and bless you and thank you for inspiring me to actually become social. Uh, I'll be billing you for my Tron. Um, so, but seriously, guys, let's spitball some marketing, act with a purpose, open it up, open source. All ideas are considered. Call the play, run the play. We got to go multiphasic. We got to go for the integrated coins. We got to go for the integrated dexes. We're clearly a threat to the centralized exchanges, and perhaps that might be some of the negative price action that we're enjoying because we're being treated like a threat. We're easily identified as one to the centralized exchanges and oppressive regimes. And upon time, where the people of every country can have their government fear them, will they only be free? And at this point, most every which way you look, people agree, the people of the countries agree that they don't trust their damn governments. So we need to flip the switch and make sure the governments understand they're representing the people and they need to fear the people, not vice versa, because we know that's tyranny and we're not for that, guys. So I respect everybody's opinion and efforts. Let's work with some purpose and some conviction and display some pride and methodically. And I want to shout out to the people who never speak because I was one of them. And I think we should encourage when we announce the spaces, forward them on intentionally, tag some people that will go solicit questions in writing, check the comments during the space. So there's more establishment of clear communication because we know communication breakdown is always the same. Godspeed, you guys. Onwards to Valhalla. Let's get this.
Well said, sir. I appreciate those words. Thank you. And yeah, I mean, I'm always surprised when I have an avatar that might look a little weird. It comes up, and then the person behind the avatar is just like a mega genius, like way smarter than me, super successful. So it's always, I never know who I'm talking to. And I know there's plenty of people in the audience who understand things just as well as I do, or maybe even better. And yeah, I encourage you to speak. I love it. I think there's so much untapped potential in ordinary people. Okay, guys, I'm gonna do thank you, Shapeshift, for that. I'm gonna do the last two here with Eric and Slam Bammer. Just a reminder, guys, Slam Bammer is a new node operator, okay? And I know he has enough bond providers to churn in, but definitely consider maybe he'll spin up another node. You know what I mean? I'm fine with that. Please keep
I'm
Slam
buying
Bammer.
the hardware as we speak.
There we go. There we go. So, guys, if you are considering being a bond provider, it is not hard. I promise. Reach out to Slam Bammer via DM. And there are other node operators here as well that you heard Kenton before. But we want to diversify the protocol, and we're doing this as a team. Once we get to the point where we're max nodes, then we can start getting more competitive again, and that's fine. But right now, even as someone who's not bond to Slam Bammer, and as soon as he churns in and gets bond providers, I'm technically making less rune as a bond provider, but I feel better because we're further decentralizing and hardening the network, which is overall much better for me than the small amount of percentage I lose due to it being diluted to new entrants. So give Slam Bammer a consideration if you're thinking about being a bond provider. It's not hard, guys. And then, of course, we have Eric and MOCA here. I want to give them one last shout out. I'll let Eric end the space on his words here, guys. MOCA is an incredible technology that's coming, allowing people to buy assets and services with the decentralized liquidity pools. Okay. This is a completely untapped part of society that's not exposed to crypto. Okay. This is so flippin' huge. Okay. Ruggira and MOCA are just so incredible. You have an you're a business, you're selling coffee, you're selling cars, you're a real estate. I don't care what it is. All right. You need you need an intermediary app that allows you to settle in an asset that you want and accept the specific exogenous asset the buyer has. So if you're a Litecoin whale and you want to buy a house or buy a car or whatever, okay, MOCA is going to allow that person to take that Litecoin, swap it into whatever the asset the business wants. Maybe a USDC on Arbitrum, which would be my protocol, or maybe Bitcoin. That's probably going to go to THORChain. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay, guys. People buying real things in the real world using the infrastructure that we've already built. You are so early. You are so early, and they're incentivized to do it because it is going to be cheaper because they can do much less than the basis points of like a credit card company or whatever, right? It's all permissionless. Oh, we just had someone request. Okay, I'm gonna bring you up, and then we're gonna end the space because I gotta go. But go ahead, Eric, and then I'll go to the last speaker, and then we'll go from there.
Man, you always make me so bullish on MOCA, and I'm like, oh, dude, I should get involved. And I'm like, okay, yeah. It's okay. So the thing that really hooked me into getting involved with MOCA, probably like 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, is that I like the basis that they don't do hype. I should say we don't do hype. So if you hear me being so excited on spaces or on posts and trying to tell people about what we're doing, etc., we try to keep things very grounded and very, we put out this and we are going to market this. We're not going to market what's going to happen in 6 months. So this is probably the only time that you're going to listen to me talking about the future. But what Patriot Sounds said is completely true. It's just the surface of what we're gonna do. So imagine that you want to buy something in a store and you cannot buy it with crypto. You can just tell them, hey, would you like to accept crypto? And we will have a small PDF presentation where you can just pull out on your cell phone or your iPad or whatever and onboard the business to accepting crypto. And they are not going to pay a single cent for that. And you're going to get a slight percentage of all of the transactions they make or they receive by selling goods. So just imagine that you are living in, let's say, I'm from Mexico. So Mexico has a lot of opportunity of improvement in terms of salaries and all of that stuff. We're a third world country. So you have a lot of people looking for a job and there's no jobs out there. But now imagine that crypto enables them to have a job through MOCA and through THORChain and Maya because they can just go over every single business on their neighborhood and tell them, hey, there's a new opportunity. I know that you might not trust crypto, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But this allows you to accept crypto and you can receive fiat. Okay, so you're just letting crypto people buy with whatever asset they want, and you can receive with whatever asset you want. So now you have a circular economy. And I don't know if I mentioned this in a couple of other spaces ago, but the main goal of crypto in general is to create circular economies that are not overseen by the system or whatever you're trying to get away from. But in the end, if you manage to make stores accept crypto, users to pay with crypto, vendors to accept crypto for their raw materials, And then you create this circular economy where people can just interact with Rune, BTC, Ethereum, whatever, and never go out of to fiat. Then you have gone full circle, literally. So if you're bullish on this, what we are doing right now with the alpha stage testing is going to make sense for normies. So they're no longer going to need to download a wallet to actually pay with crypto. They're going to do it with something they're already used to, they are already familiar with. And I cannot say more because, I would be spoiling the launch that we're going to have on late May. But you might be on the verge of being part of something pretty incredible. So if you want to be part of it very early, just send me a DM. I will get you hooked up on the whitelist to help us test the alpha stage of this app. And you also, give us your opinion and give us feedback and your takes on what could be improved. Because in the end, we believe that this app is going to bring every grandma in town into using crypto without ever them need knowing they are using crypto. So that's my rant. That's the only time you're gonna listen to me being hyped about what's gonna happen in months in advance. But yeah, thank you very much, Patriot, for giving me the floor to shill a little bit of mocha.
You're welcome, Eric. And yeah, well, I met Zay at Rare Evo about half a year ago, and I didn't know what it was. And then when I talked to him and I saw him do his demonstration, I about fell over. I was so excited. It's like, of course. Like feel so stupid that I didn't even think about the possibility of the real life using decentralized liquidity, basic code, as a means of exchange to settle assets in the real world. I mean, it blows my mind. So yeah, I'm so excited for MOCA. And if I was honestly, I would not tell anyone about MOCA if I was greedy because I'm so bullish on it. I would say, MOCA sucks, and then I would try to do my best to get as much of it as I could, and then I would say, oh, it's great. I changed my mind. So, all right, I got to get going soon, but we have Krivik Monster up. Go ahead, Krivik Monster. What you got, buddy?
Yo, shout out to Patriot. Um, Shout out to everybody on the space. So I'm Queer Monster from Malaysia, Southeast Asia. So I'm glad to hear the THORChain on the space. For your information, I'm most actively in spaces since 2021, which is before this. I'm also previously I'm also a Bitcoin miner. So through this technology, on the marketing, I said you guys should follow the wave, which is now people would like to do social. Now social finance is vibing up on the space. So yeah, so I think that the most we can do to do the marketing, you have to follow the wave right now, to follow the whatever it is, um to create more spaces like this. Yeah. So I'm also quite active for hosting the space. If you guys would like to, yeah, maybe give a follow. And yeah, but my space is previously my space is on NFT marketing, but for now I'm also doing AMA. So if you guys would like to join, I'm pleased if you could also join my spaces. Thank you for the stage.
Yeah, no problem. And hearing you speak actually gave me an idea. I mean, it'd be cool if we had spaces on THORChain or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm THORChain specific a lot because I am a moderator there. But I think with spaces, the one disadvantage is language. I know a little French, but I'm not that fluent yet. I can't really converse. So it's a little landlocked with English, I think, in some ways, even though English is probably the universal language as best as possible for the world. But I'd love to have Chinese specific spaces and French and German and whatever. So if other people want to start THORChain spaces, you don't need permission. Go for it, okay? And if you want to do that, you can always send me a DM. and or whatever. I'll do what I can to help promote you. I got to get going, guys. I thank you so much. ShapeShift. I got to go take care of my dad. I spent a little too time on here. I never want to stop. That's my problem because I just love everything. It's so exciting. I want to keep going, but I do got to get going. Thank you again, guys. We're gonna do this again, probably same time next week, Saturday US. The Saturday USA time zone. I can't remember.
Same
Yeah, same
time.
time. Whatever. I know.
Same
Yeah.
time. Hey, go spoil your dad rotten and wonder
No,
why he's rotten.
I will do
I
that.
love it.
Okay, guys. Thank.
You're a good stunt. Hey, K Monster, fire up a space right now.
There you go. Yeah, do it, and you guys can continue. Absolutely. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Godspeed onwards.
Hey, Patriot, if you can check your DM, I would appreciate it.
Okay, I will. Thanks, buddy.
See you guys.